We have a group of 6 players here, the GSL Up and Down matches. We've got players from every race, from several different teams, different backgrounds. They are thrown into arena here. They have to practice for every matchup. Only 2 out of the 6 players are going to get out. Some players will go up and some players will go down. This is the Up and Down matches with Calder and Wolf. How are you feeling today? Are you excited as I am for this?
Yeah, pretty excited about the group that we have today. The Up and Downs are crazy. We have so many amazing players. We talked about it during Code A, how many of them actually dropped down. And it's basically a little bit like Code S.
Yeah.
It's just completely insane. We will have a few of them in Code S. The rest of them will play in Code A next season. But today's lineup is actually one of my favorite ones. All the groups are just crazy, but I love today's group. I really like it.
Yeah, today's group is going to be awesome. We've got players like Hyun, who have tried so hard to get into Code S, haven't quite been able to do it yet. You've got JYP, you've got even MMA coming from a background right now of drama. There's this vortex of turmoil behind him, but he's here. He's in his Slayer's uniform. He's ready to play. He's ready to try to get out of this Code or this Up and Down group into Code S.
Yep.
And I mean that's just half the players there.
Exactly. We have other players today as well as, for example, Alive, Hack, so another StarTale player is in the lineup too. Boom Boom for the Prime team. It is just going to be a crazy day. These matches are insane. We have 6 players in today's group, so that's going to be quite a lot of matches, and I can already promise you that it will be a close one. I don't think that we really have a lot of players where you can just look at the group and you say, okay, this guy is definitely going to get out.
Yeah, this group is really close.
Yep.
There's no dominant big name player I feel in this group that's just going to own it up. So you can take a look at the Code S players that we've got for Season 5 already lined up for now. Here they are. 8 Terrans, 6 Protoss, and 6 Zergs. Life, the current champion there at the top right, leading the charge. We've got Marine King, MVP Tasia, Gumiho, Pult, Maru, STX, Bogus getting in there, Byung as well. And I'm not going to list all those players off because you guys can read them.
Yeah, and 10 new players will join them. We will determine in this week who they are. 5 days of Up and Down matches, and the top 2 of each group will advance to Code S. The rest drops down and has to play Code A next season.
Yeah, and nobody wants to do that because if you drop down to Code A, you go into the first round of Code A and this Up and Down. It's not like Code S. We're in the second round. You might get into a different Code A group. You're going to be in the first round where you may follow the GSL entirely.
Another few statistics for you guys, just the Code S advance rate broken down by race, as you can see here.
Yeah, showing that Zergs are the most likely, actually, statistically speaking, to get out of the group. But that's from this year only, 2012. You can see how many players made through from Season 1 to Season 4. This is the beginning of Season 5, the final season of this year. Don't get stressed out just of this year. There'll be plenty more next year.
Yeah, exactly. We'll be back, so Starcraft 2 is not over after 2012. The first game is going to be a Terran versus Protoss, just to mention it, as both players are already joining the lobby. Cloud Kingdom is the map. Remember, all these games are going to be best of ones. But before we jump into JYP versus Alive, we have a quick look at the players today and also at the matches. Here they are. JYP, Alive, Boom Boom,
and of course MMA, Hack, and Hyun. As mentioned before, we've got players from every race. Only 1 Protoss in the group today. We've got 2 Zergs and 3 Terrans. You can see that the players on the right side of the grid are coming down from the Up and Downs, or rather from Code A into the Up and Downs, whereas the 2 players on the left actually went from S to A to Up and Downs. So they were in Code S prior to this season. This is a sick group of matches today, man. I could not be more excited. We've just got... The level of Code S and Code A has risen so much over the past year that there's hardly a player in the booth ever who you just think, well, I feel like he's got no chance here of getting out.
We have so many cool stories today too. For example, Hyun, who advanced to the 3rd round of Code A once again, then lost, is in the Up and Downs. That's exactly the same situation for him as last year. On the other hand, we have players like Boom Boom, who lost in the Up and Downs with such a small of margins, found himself in Code A, dropped out in the 1st round, back to Code B, re-qualified, and is now once again here in the Up and Downs. But guys, before we head into all these matches, we concentrate a little bit on our first game for the day. It's going to be Alive against JYP, Fnatic up against the Evil Genius. And we are going to see how the only Protoss player in Group A is going to perform today.
Yeah. We've got Coach Lee actually here in the studios watching from the bench. And both of these players actually on screen were once part of his team. He knows a lot of the players who are here today quite well, including Hyun, of course, who is the main player for TSL playing today. But he knows these players well. He's close friends with them. He's watching on here. The first map, as mentioned, is Cloud Kingdom.
And we are going to jump into the game right away. This is the Up and Down Season 5, ladies and gentlemen, here at the GSL, brought to you by Calder and Wolf. And here we go, starting to the top right of the map in our first game of the day. We have the Protoss player, or the Evil Geniuses. He's starting in orange in his ideas.
Yeji, JYP, Lady Core.
Yeah, he definitely gets a lady call. This guy looking sexy today. Once again, the Protoss Panda, here we are.
Yep. His opponent, of course, formerly of the Team TSL, like JYP is. He's now playing for Fnatic. His idea is...
Fnatic Alive.
Actually, we had Fnatic Alive, the Korean stream had Fnatic Raid Call Alive on their voice. I heard that behind us.
Yeah, we didn't. I don't know, apparently they decided that in comparison to JYP, Alive is not sexy enough. I can't come up with another reason why he doesn't get a lady call.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Shoutouts to Raid Call sponsor, by the way. I know we always tease the way your name is said on stream, but pretty cool voice program you can use.
Yeah, definitely is. Used it quite a lot of times, especially all the Fnatic players are always online there, and of course the EG guys as well. But well, right now we have our first Terran versus Protoss, and of course the first maps are pretty important in the Up&Downs, but just let's talk a little bit about the matchup and how the players recently performed in the Terran versus Protoss. We are with JYP, a Protoss player who, statistically speaking, is playing his weakest matchup right now. Against Terran, he only has a 44% win ratio. He was pretty successful in his Code S group against Supernova, was able to defeat the Terran player 2 times without dropping a single map in the best of 3s, but after that, things went a little bit downhill. He lost to MVP, he lost to Marine King, and he lost to Maru without winning a single map. Well, he won once against MVP, but that was all there is to it. So he dropped out of the second group of Code S and then also lost in Code A. That's why he's today here at the Up&Downs.
Yeah, he was feeling really comfortable in his Code S group. In fact, you know, he spoke to us about it, and you know, he seemed like he felt like he had no chance of failure.
Yeah.
But in the end, he wasn't able to do it. He will get in here alive, that is, and see JYP's second gas, and this is really important for him to know.
Yeah, the thing about Alive is that even though he's, just if you watch his last few months, it's a beast against Protoss. This was the one matchup where he was able to take IPL4. But on the other hand, just the last few weeks, Alive has been struggling against Protoss a little bit. It's not like he lost every single match, but his results were a little bit like so-so. So against JYP today, he really needs to have a win. This is definitely one of the matchups where he's known to be very strong, and it's the only time that he's going to face a Protoss player today. So it might also indicate that this is the matchup that he practiced the least for out of all the matchups that he has to play.
That's a very good point. Whereas JYP has practiced this matchup the most, as there are 3 Terrans in this group.
Yeah, you can actually argue that JYP is in a position where he only has to prepare for 2 matchups.
Yeah, he doesn't have to play PvP at all, whereas the other players will have to play for all matchups, technically speaking. Now, he is going up to 3 barracks here, and he's hitting his command center. His command center was built on the high ground. He blocked out the probes. The probe probably was thinking, all right, maybe 1 racks of spam, but when he saw, again, that there was nothing on the low ground, it's pretty hard for him to actually determine that for sure.
JYP now is taking the Zanaga Watchtower closest to his opponent, send another probe over to the left side in order to scout for any kind of proxy play, and is now just heading into the main base, but there is already 1 bunker up, and there's not going to be any scouting. I'm not quite sure if he actually realized that there's... I think he just saw that there is no expansion.
Yeah, he would have been able to see it otherwise. Something to note about JYP's build that I really like is after he scouted what his opponent was doing a little bit, he put his probes in gas in an interesting way. He's now putting back in, but he had 2 in one and 1 in the other, so he was mining with 3 from 2 assemblators just to get that next up a little bit faster, which is now completing now. Alive will see this, however.
Yeah, Alive sees the Nexus. At least he's not able to get into the main base of JYP, but at least he has a glimpse at the expansion, sees the Nexus. And JYP now completes gateway number 2 and number 3. His robotics is nearly done, and we will have the first observer in order to get some scouting information of what exactly Alive is up to. And so far, the Terran player just tries to control the Zanaga Watchtower, getting a bit of a more dominant position on the map itself, and will most likely start to be a little bit more aggressive as soon as he hits them, just trying to poke. And so often Terrans just try to sneak into the natural expansion. Alive most likely not going to do it here because there's no forward position for JYP, but it's still an option that he can execute later.
JYP has his units in the main base, indicating that he still is not 100% certain what his opponent is doing. He wants to be prepared for drop play potentially, as well as Banshee play. So he's got all his units up there. He only has 1 probe at the natural. In fact, did he pull that back? No, I just missed it there. Yeah, he's mining at the natural with 1 probe. He's not making probes right now at his natural at all because he's concerned about one of those pressures from Hellions that he might see. And now he tries to check again, and he sees the bunker. He doesn't see the Marauder, though he didn't get close enough. And wow, an SCV will check once more what's going on over here.
Yeah, double checks, sees the slide with the probes. And of course, really important is that we now have the first observer out for JYP. So the question is, will Alive be able to intercept the observer? He saw it earlier with the SCV, so if he anticipates the path of the observer, he might be able to catch it. And there they are, the Marines are there, and here's the scan. This is perfect for Alive now. He completely denies JYP every single information. JYP doesn't know anything at all.
He didn't even see the Marauders.
Yeah,
Second
exactly.
observer comes in though. And will he actually be able to get in this time? Yes, he will. Was not seen in time. This time, JYP will get all the information that he needs. He's going to see the triple barracks. He's also going to see, very importantly, that there's no factory and no e-base up just yet.
Yeah, no upgrades for Alive at this point. He's just focusing on his tech. He's getting the factory a little bit later than you usually do because he wants to get Stim and Combat Shield at the same time. He has a double tech lab at his barracks, and he's able to take down Observer number 2. A third one for JYP already sent over to Alive space, and if JYP is actually not careful, he will be Creator too.
Yeah, that's true, man. By the way, with this push, he has Stim and Combat Shields, as you said. You want to get them both out really early. Doesn't take a long time to research concussive shells, so he starts that as he moves out. He will get across the map. The Observer just barely misses this. And this is something Alive checked for, in fact. He checked with his first group of Marauders to make sure there's nothing on the watchtower, looked for observers, and then went across. And this is going to be so hard for JYP to actually hold. He's only got one sentry on the low ground. The other sentries are coming here. Now he knows 100% what's happening.
He knows what's going on, and therefore all 3 sentries now on the low ground. The Zalnaga watchtower has been taken, and here we go with a good Stim, maybe dodging the force fields. He might be able to do damage.
He's waiting for that Colossus.
Yeah, JYP is really careful here. He wants to have this Colossus. He knows exactly that it will help him so much. But even with the Colossus, it's going to be tough. There's no range.
But really nice force hits here, denying this army. He drops it again. And now he can fight with the Colossus. He needs to pull those Zealots back, though. They're taking a lot of extra damage here without doing any. Even the sentries don't have very much range.
Oh, that's tricky now. The Zealots, most of them are already gone. Another sentry dies, and if he gets a good Stim off and darts in to take down the Colossus, JYP could lose way too much here. And there it is, targeting the Colossus and, of course, the sentries as well. JYP losing a lot here, pulling his probes back, and now he's losing so much gas.
Yeah, the Nitro is really nice here on the Colossus. Needs to get that sentry at least if he can get it. Boom!
Nice.
Gets it. A great trade here for Alive. Still mining time being lost. He's targeting down a few more probes here as well.
He killed 15 in total. 15 harvesters have been killed by Alive. He split his force. He targeted down the probes with just a few Marauders to the right side, and the rest of his army was focusing on the JYP sentries and the Colossus. It was really well executed, and just the resources lost at this point. So much better for Alive.
And, you know, he's now got his tech where it needs to be. He's going to make a third command center because he knows that he can. 55 to 42 harvesters currently right now. Makes a few more medevacs. I think he's probably going to go up to 4 before he starts Viking production, since he knows he damaged that Colossus so much, and because he has such a lead in army supply, that even without Vikings, he can actually fight Colossi.
This is just such an ugly situation for JYP. He won't have a chance of really getting a third base right now. Well, he can try to gamble and build a third and just hope that Alive is not going to attack him, but he can't not really defend it. So at this point, he's in a very peculiar situation. He needs to increase his worker count if he wants to get even with Alive. But Alive has the third command center building right now. He will be able to get this third base, and JYP is just trying to get these upgrades. He's going for the +1 attack upgrade, but that's the same stuff that Alive is doing. And Alive is already adding armory, second engineering bay. He has the better economy, and these drops that are currently on screen, they could do so much damage. But nice scout here with the probe. Really, really lucky, and well done by JYP.
I think that if JYP doesn't put more units up here, you could actually just drop on top of these Colossi. Okay, now warps and 3 more stars. That's going to be too much.
Yeah, it's a little bit too risky. I mean, he could have tried to, but it was definitely a risky move. The problem for him is that Alive has so many units that he can now also head to the natural and start to do some pressure over there.
Yeah, he's got units over here. He's got the drops unloaded now. He checks for a third Nexus. He doesn't see it, and I think he's just going to back up here. He doesn't have to attack. He's got his third command center done. In fact, he's going to make it into an orbital very soon, adding 3 more barracks right now. He's just waiting for JYP to make a mistake while he's poised with ready for pressure. I think attacking here is maybe a bit too aggressive, though.
Well, he just tries to bait him a little bit. Bait force fields, pressure JYP, force him to get additional units. And right now, Alive is doing everything right. He's getting +2 attack, he's getting the first armor upgrade, using those double engineering base that he built. He's even getting the attack upgrade for the Vikings, adds another starport, so much production for him now. Also, Barracks getting this third base onto the low ground will be a priority as soon as the orbital command tag has finished. And as I said earlier, JYP at this point just doesn't have this third base, because he lost so much early on, and this will give Alive just such a huge lead. He's already 20 supply ahead, and when this third base comes into play, this will only increase.
With the double upgrades Alive is getting right now as well, he's going to be able to pass JYP in upgrades. JYP was ahead initially, but now since he's able to research 2 at a time and JYP is not, he's going to pass him. And JYP will need to get that second forge pretty soon. He hasn't started his Nexus yet because he's so scared about the possibility of just an attack there. Alive with 2 large armies on the map now, one to the west, one to the south, and it's coming up right towards the natural. He's going to have to make a choice. Will he defend his natural or will he defend his Nexus?
The problem for JYP is really that usually you get this third base a lot faster. We are now 15 minutes into the game, and what you want to build is between 11 and 12 minutes. But that was just not possible for him. So Alive has now an opportunity to attack this. He knows also about the position, and that's where he uses the stim, goes in and forces the cancel here. Really well done. Sees the position of JYP with the Zanaga Watchtower and decides to go for the third, backs off immediately, but he delayed the third base, and JYP is in such a bad shape in this game now.
Yeah, he's supply blocked, and Alive is making 4 Vikings at a time, made a second starport because he knows the tech is stuck in the Colossi a little bit right now. Oh, nice, look at that, picks off 2 Stalkers and gets out. That's exactly how you want to do it. Great micro here by Alive, who's got units all over the map. He's got units to check for hidden expansions. Every single base is occupied by Alive right now.
A bit of a problem for Alive is his low medivac count. He only has 1 left. That's why he starts building medivacs and not only focuses on the Viking production. He needs a bit more to heal. He used a lot of stim when he tried to target down the Nexus, and therefore he needs a bit to compensate for that.
Yeah.
That's what he's doing now. He's also focusing on the upgrades a little bit more, and you can already see him preparing with the Ghost Academy in case that JYP adds additional attack.
This Zealot run by here is just going to be a dump of 4 minerals because he's not going to do anything here. He will not kill. It looks like he kills 1 Marine. That's it for 4 Zealots. Forces another stim, but JYP has to take risks now, and that's why Alive is making 4 missile turrets right now, because he says, sorry man, you're not going to get any warpers on my base, you're not going to attack me with DTs, I'm not going to be caught off guard by anything. And this army, I think, is enough to fight the Stalker army of JYP. JYP's trying to hunt these units down. He does get a Marauder.
Alive takes this sick lead with 60 supply and the economy that he has. JYP is just trying to get into a position where he can do a bit of pressure, where he can safely take this third base, catch up. What he basically wants to do is defend for as long as possible, get a huge army, and then win a maxed out fight.
Yeah.
And as I say it, he is just... Nope. He's actually not moving out. For a second I really thought that he tries to be aggressive here, but if he moves out with the Colossus like this, this would be a complete all-in. If he loses this army, it's over. But he decides to just split, use the Blink Stalkers, because he knows that with them he can safely get away.
I think that Alive can actually begin to attack while taking a 4th base. He's got everything ready. Obviously he doesn't have 3-3 yet, but everything else he's got is just so much stronger than JYP, and he knows these scans. He's like, well, that's it? I can actually fight you. Those Colossi are not going to last very long at all against his Viking count of 12 right now. His Vikings also have +1.
He can zone out those Colossi without a problem at all. And just look at this force, that is incredible. 120 army supply against 80. That's a 40 supply difference. The Colossi have no chance against those Vikings, even with the Stalkers now trying to take down the anti-air units. It is just way too much. JYP is dropping supply like crazy, and he does not have the economy to rebuild it.
Yep. The Vikings here no longer very useful. I'm a little bit surprised he did not try to land those, as this army will actually be cleaned up, and it was a great trade for Alive overall. But now is the 4th command center up, and when you're this ahead, you can actually afford to attack like that and lose your army. The Storms were a big problem for him. He didn't have Ghost in his army yet. He started the Ghost now. He's about to have +3 for his bio. He does not start +3 armor though.
Yeah, you know, the thing is that right now, yes, it was, if you just look at the costs, it was not the best trade for Alive, but he took down the Colossi. Now JYP is in a situation where he has only single robo, so he cannot double produce Colossi. He will definitely lack in Colossus in the next fight. On the other hand, Alive still has a few Vikings. With the production that he has, he can build Vikings right now, he can build Medivacs, whatever he pleases do. And Alive has the economy. He had the bank, he can rebuild this army, taking a 4th already, whereas JYP is really, really struggling for gas and minerals.
Yeah, he's trying to find out how the best way for him to proceed here is as far as resource management goes, because when you're a Pros player versus Terran, you always have to have, actually this matchup in general, it's a lot of the time about efficient management of what type of, how much gas you put in sentries, stalkers, and zealots. You know, what's your ratio of units? How many zealots do you have? Do you have too many zealots? Do you have too many stalkers? And you have to manage that, of course, with Colossi and Templar as well. This is a great little thing to do, to pick off some SVs. He even blinked out before there were units there because he knows that the stalkers are very important, but he did some damage.
You know what I would have loved for live sensor turrets? Just to be a little bit more flexible against these stalkers, because that's the one thing that JYP really relies on right now. And with the storm completed, he could actually also try to go for a few storm drops. We have fights now to the left and the right side of the map. JYP is focusing a lot on his zealot production right now. So because he doesn't have the upgrades, Alive is in a great position, but he definitely has to make sure that he's pressuring JYP. He cannot give him too much room to breathe.
Storm is ready back here. And all these stalkers were damaged from earlier. He's going to force a cancel on this Nexus, but meanwhile, will we see that Storm dropped? He hasn't dropped it yet. Here we go. There it is.
Yeah, he starts with a Storm immediately. Doesn't take too many harvesters down here, but still, this is something that eventually...
This is going to have to deal with eventually. Yeah, he's losing a lot of harvesters now, and even gets away with the Stalker. The Templar will not be so lucky.
Yeah.
But forcing the cancel on the Nexus was huge because JYP is going to run out of minerals eventually. His natural is almost out. His main is out. And all of the extra minerals that Alive is getting from that fourth base are really starting to stack up here. Look at the supply, the 187 to 159.
The upgrades are already kicking in. We have now 3-3, if I'm not mistaken, 4 Alive.
Versus
JYP,
3-2.
on the other hand, has 3 armor and will have 2 attack. So that's already a little bit of an advantage for Alive. And of course, with all those medivacs that he built by now, he has 12 in total. It's really tough for him to take down this bio armor.
Oh, he's getting 2 stalkers for free here. Just one. The second one almost goes down. Alive has built the right composition. He's got 9 Vikings and 6 Ghosts. That's pretty much enough to deal with anything he faces. His Marauder count is where he wants it to be as well. He's got 3-3 finish now. And he's got this defense stuff behind his base to defend against any run-bys, any Templar drops. There's nothing that's going to catch his SCV production off guard. Whereas JYP cannot even get a Nexus up yet. Uh-oh, this could be an engagement that changes the game. Will he be able to pick off some Vikings? Gets one.
Alive still has to be careful. I mean, he has the bank now. We talked about that he's in a good position tech-wise, that he was able in the last fight, even though he didn't really trade too well, to shut down the Colossi for now. But if JYP maxes out this army and is then winning a huge engagement, just think about if Alive miss micros in the big battle and suddenly loses a lot to a Colossi and Storm in unison, then suddenly he will lose his bio army. He can rebuild, but JYP might just use this momentum that he gains in order to take him down. So Alive is not out of this just yet, even though if the game so far really worked his advantage.
Yeah. Alive has 14 barracks in total right now, but it's going to take a lot longer to get hits in. He doesn't have war fence in these barracks. Zealot drop is missed by his Vikings, so he's going to lose some SVs at the natural. This engagement, though, over at the fourth base of JYP could change things a lot. This is why a lot of Terrans dislike this map in this matchup, because it's so hard to actually attack down that ramp into Storms and Colossi.
There's still a few Zealots alive, but they are gonna take out. But yeah, now JYP is just trying to harass everywhere with a few Zealots. And he's doing a really good job at occupying Alive. You can see that the difference in supply is already gone. The bank's still better for Alive. He has this perfect composition basically, but it's really tough for him now to find an angle to attack.
He's lost so many SCVs as well. He's down to 33. I think JYP, if he takes a decent engagement in this game, is definitely going to be ahead. Look at the bank of Alive, it's gone. And he's able to hit a Storm on those Vikings. He's taken out some of these Marauders over here to the right side. JYP takes a significant supply lead now. He just needs to get in the better position, and I think he can win a fight.
Yeah, he definitely can. Now we suddenly have, as I said earlier, Alive, he waited too long. Now we have once again Zealots attacking the third base, and it looks like
potentially even lose it.
Yeah, it looks a little bit like Alive is just not paying enough attention here. Like he has a problem with dealing at this multi-prong harass that we see out of JYP, and that's also why he starts to attack right now. But he needs to be careful that he doesn't run into a Storm. The choke point is going to be important. He has the Ghost count, but can he get the EMPs and the snipes off?
The Vikings are hit by Storms, but he just lets them ride it out. JYP dropping the spy like crazy. Those cannons are not ready. The Colossi fall, but there's so many cannons down there at the bottom. This is going to be so close. Alive tries to break through. Another storm hits his army really well here. He's out of ghosts now.
Yeah, 7 High Templar, and he just tags the storms. He has so many Vikings that he can easily make up for the hit points lost. Every single time that he backs up, the Vikings, the medivacs, sorry, are doing a good job here and just heal this army. So both of them just trying to dance with each other a bit. We have them at the same supply, 4 base against 4 base, another base being killed at the right side for JYP now as he loses the 4th. But this is really a lot closer than it should have been. Alive was in a great position, but JYP's patience gave him the opportunity to come back.
2 Zealots killed Alive's 3rd base. It's gone. He didn't even... He had 1 SCV to repair, but he didn't kill the Zealots, so the Zealots just killed the repairing SCV and killed the orbital. He didn't lift it, so he's got that planter, which is not an orbital. He's not mining gas there. He is going to find himself in a position where this game is definitely no longer the way that this game was 5 minutes ago. Was that Alive has total control. It's going to be really hard for JYP to do anything, but now it's almost becoming the opposite. Alive has 1 ghost with the cloak out in the middle of the map. He's going to maybe try to catch some Templar with that.
What's also really important here, they are, that's what we talked about earlier, the storm drops.
Alive is down to 20 SCVs now.
You know, the thing is that this also means that he is in a much better position when we talk about army size in general. With the orbitals that he has, he can make up for it with the mules, but he doesn't have enough of them, especially with the 3rd that he lost to the 2 Zealots that you talked about earlier. That's a mistake that he shouldn't have made. A simple lift would have sufficed to save the orbital.
Yeah, that's a lot of fuels lost there. He's going to catch some of these Stalkers, which is huge, gets 2 of them. And, you know, this position for Alive is not the best, but he gets the Nexus to the right side again. This means JYP is long distance mining from his 4th, which is almost done again.
And Alive has a 30 supply lead in army supply. That's just because we have this huge difference in worker count. There it is.
Alive also moved his main base back to the 3rd, so he's still, you know, he's got a 3rd base mining now, technically.
But we have once more Zealots walking over. Oh no, actually. Yeah, Zealots. 2 Zealots heading into the mineral line. The Ghosts here taking out. So far, so good. JYP and Alive, man, they are battling it out. This first game is already promising a very intense day.
He already took out so many SCVs at the base with the Zealots. He's also taking more out with Stalkers. You guys are not seeing what I am seeing, but I am watching 2 Stalker skill SCVs with Marauders looking on. And the Zealots running again. These groups of 2 Zealots have been hell for Alive.
These storms are brilliant, and now the Archons come in and dish out their damage. Most of the Vikings are gone, and guess what? The Colossi are still alive and kicking.
Yeah, he doesn't have a lot of Zealots to buffer for those Templar, though. So many of the supply of JYP are in Templar and out of energy, and also in probes.
He's not able to kill the Colossi. One of them finally dies. The other one might just survive, and yes, it does. Is Alive able to break through here? It doesn't look like it. He's down to 60
so many
supply.
medevacs, though, and the Zealot count is just not quite high enough. He's fighting away from the cannons,
but
this
Alive,
is so close.
Alive still has more army supply.
Yeah.
Don't be fooled by the total supply here, guys. He has more army supply. If he wins this and gains momentum, he might be able to take it out. These medivacs are crucial, but it looks like JYP just has enough and tries to force it back. Takes the lead in army supply. It's sick.
Oh, he's going for the Nexus again. He needs to get it. Alive has lost so much back at home. He cannot afford to let this Nexus live, and he will get it. This is such a close game. Pulls back now. The Nexus is dead. He's actually going to continue to push through a little bit here. Uh-oh, this Warping could be devastating, though.
Yeah, the problem for Alive really is that he lost another command center to those 2 Zealots. He does not pay attention to his 3rd. He's so occupied with the main battle that he just doesn't realize that these 2 Zealots did not only kill his SCVs, but also took down the orbital. He needs these mules now.
Yeah. He's in a really nasty spot right now. He's not mining at all. His income is 0. He pulled his SCVs away. His worker count is at 6 SCVs right now. And JYP, with the mining he has at his 3rd base, will eventually be able to make an army that can kill Alives, and that's going to be checkmate.
Another problem for Alive is that his army is really low on HP, and this is showing. JYP, I think, has turned the tables here. I mean, the game, look at it. We have now him nearly doubling the supply of Alive. Alive had this game, I don't want to say won, but he just had such a lead.
Had
it was
every advantage.
Crazy. And JYP with his patience and just the hope that he would be able to come back, and his will survived and is now able to force Alive into submission. This is kind of crazy that he was able to pull this off. Alive with a few mistakes that he made and not... He didn't show enough drive to take JYP down. He was a little bit too cautious.
this is really interesting. JYP is actually saving up for another Nexus. He's going to make it at the 4th base, it looks like. He didn't make any units, now he's making one more Zealot. But during this, I think he had a few rounds of Warpins. He has too much alive. He's going to try to go for a base elimination race. He runs across the map with his units instead of fighting here. With all the cannons and storms set up for JYP, I don't think this is going to work.
Yeah, we have now the 36 army supply for life, 57 for JYP. The composition is also good. Once more, not a lift on the orbital. It dies to the left side. And JYP is now starting to siege up on the production.
There's so many Templar already ready for JYP at his last mining base. He can take out these gateways, but it's not going to change the fact that nothing is stopping JYP from killing his production back at home. He doesn't have any mining, really. He doesn't have any money.
Yeah, and now the main base under siege. Alive takes down the pylons, but this would be quite impressive. If Alive is able to come back in this game, that would be really, really impressive.
Just look at these Zealots. He's going to be able to pick them up in the Warp Prism whenever they fight. Here's what Templar I talked about earlier. Feedbacks and Medivacs gone.
And that's kind of the nail in the coffin. If you lose those Medivacs, then you have no chance of healing your units, and you are going to lose the fight. There we go. More Marauders are dying. Most of the Medivacs are gone. Alive is down to 21 supply against 100. This is it. This is game.
Now Blast Marauders dying here, and Alive, he has only got, right now, in total, the units have 5 SCVs, 2 Vikings, and a Marine. Not enough money to make any unit that StarCraft 2 has. GG.
Game over.
JYP with so well-deserved win there.
Yeah, wins the game. Alive, on the other hand, I really feel that he had such a problem with the multitasking in the later stage. It's a little bit under-characteristic. It was crazy. He lost 2 orbitals to 2 Zealots.
Yeah, on 2 different occasions, 2 sets of 2 Zealots. Killed his 3rd base without a lift, without a repair, really. And that was something he could not make up for. He never really was able to keep his mining up, keep his economy up. JYP out-multitasked him with the harassment. Yeah, Alive was really good with his army control, but is that enough when you are so focused on your army that your economy falls apart? Probably not so much.
After the first fight, we talked about that it was not the most cost-efficient one. He could have microed better, he could have pushed JYP even further back. But even at this position, we were in a situation where Alive could have just rebuilt his army, he had a sick production, and just sent the second wave in without the Colossi to deal with them. It would have been a very tough battle for JYP, but Alive playing it a little bit too cautious and giving JYP the chance to come back, and JYP took it. He said, thank you very much, I'm going to take it, and now he takes the lead in the group.
Yep, now next up here we have Boom Boom versus MMA. Prime versus Slayers here. The Slayers team around for about another week and a half. And there is MMA still wearing the Slayers jacket. And here we go up against Boom Boom. These 2 players playing their first game on Daybreak.
Daybreak being map number 1 here, and as I already said earlier, the story for Boom Boom is just a great one. He's actually wearing a GOMTV shirt here and not his Prime shirt.
Yeah, perhaps he needs to do his laundry.
There's also no Prime tag at Boom Boom at the bottom left. Did I miss something? I certainly don't think so,
well,
but
I guess breaking news.
That would be news to me. Like, literally. Yeah, but let's assume for now that he just forgot his Prime shirt. Well, be it as it may, the thing is that Boom Boom is one of those guys who played in the last Up&Downs. He was not able to go through, ended up not in the last Up&Downs, the season before that. He dropped down to Code A in the first round. He lost, I think it was to Vampire, not 100% sure. Then he was able to win the next Code A qualifier. It was crazy.
Yep, he just, I actually just asked Boom Boom if he left Prime, and he confirmed it in chat. It's actually true.
I did not know that. I would really like to hear the reasoning behind it.
Yeah, breaking news, Boom Boom is out of Prime.
Yeah.
But we'll see how that affects him here. He wants to get into Code S. This is his opportunity. He does not have a first easy opponent, though. MMA, as said before, a lot of controversy surrounding this player, but we have to put all that aside. All that matters right now at this moment is his Terran versus Zerg. This is the GSL Season 5 Up&Downs with Caldor and Wolf.
Just stare into my eyes.